So the number one thing is because I want to talk about how do you learn how to compete, right? Because talk's cheap, words are just words sometimes, but it's actually important to build this skill. Competing is you have to compete with yourself first. So how do you do that? Well, it could be, you choose to get up at a certain time every day to move, to exercise, to do the pucks, to do the whatever. That's a competition, maybe keep score of that. Like I did that for 30 days. Good. That's good. That's good shit. Competing with yourself. It might be, I'm going to lift weights. Well, we can go and squat 135 pounds and do that for 30 days straight, 10 times every time, and say, okay, I did it for 30 days straight. But did you compete with yourself, or did you just it's a form, you got there, but did you compete with yourself? Did you ask yourself, okay, so I'm going to start squatting at 135 pounds on my back, and by 2 weeks from now, I'm going to get 1 rep more than I can right now. Yeah. And I'm going to add 5 pounds, 10 pounds.
You gamify it a little bit.
Gamify it. Because there's no real, if you go and run and you say, I'm going to build my capacity a little bit, you go run for 60 days straight for 45 minutes, and it takes, or you go run 2 miles and it takes you about 45 minutes. That's a walk. Whatever. You do a 45-minute run, you do the same route every time, it's around 45 minutes, and you're not paying attention to times, then yes, are you doing something good? Yes, you're doing it, but are you competing with yourself? No. Can you beat that time? Can you take that same time and do more distance?
Well, it's kind of maybe wrapping that into like a little bow for everyone is, we were talking to Dalton yesterday about using benchmarks. And that is kind of basically what that is. When you're competing with yourself, like have benchmarks, like have something that you, like a number you're trying to get, or a number you're trying to improve on, or so you're not just like mindlessly saying, okay, I'm going to work out today. It's like, okay, but how are you measuring the fact that you're progressing? How are you measuring like the fact that you're pushing yourself and developing a work ethic and like trying to make something competitive? Because that's the thing you have to do in sport, is you have to be able to compete and win a battle. And so if you're not getting a battle, like, so for somebody that was in my situation where we just sucked and there was nothing we could do, then you need to create battles for yourself that are winnable, like things that you can actually develop with. And that takes, you're talking about your advice, what you would give, and that takes something like from the parents too. Like, you have to be able to relay that message to your kid if you're on a shitty team or whatever. Like, you can create these battles because, like we've said before, it's about the long haul. It's not about this year or next year or minor hockey. It's about playing the long game and developing the proper skills to be able to progress and being able to compete. That's one of those things that is independent of any other thing that's going on. Like you talk about the game that's, in the glass, when it's like me versus you, like that's hockey. And that is what the end result is, just me versus you, who was better. And you can always control that. You can the me versus you part, you can always control that. There's nothing, it doesn't matter how shitty your team is, you can outbattle this guy. Or try to. And so that's a good way to frame it is when you're trying to create a battle for yourself, have like some benchmarks or some numbers or some kind of metric that you can hit. And if, like you said, in a game you're on the ice, like, hey, I'm not getting scored on by this guy tonight. And
if he scores, he's going to have his tongue hanging out.
Exactly.
Because he had to work.
Exactly. And then you make that competition for yourself.
My wife made a very good observation yesterday. We're sitting in the back patio, which we just got power washed by a good buddy of mine. Nice. Wow, it looks good. She did all the flowers.
See it on
and
Friday.
All that stuff. Every time she pulls out the flowers and stuff, I go, oh, come on. Because I'm such a guy.
Gotta water the flowers.
Then she does it, and it's like, oh, it looks pretty good back here. But she was sitting there last night. She goes, Eric, the scientist, is a very unique guy at his age, at 26 years old. And I said, oh, yeah, but tell me why. She goes, well, choosing to work for PowerTech or with PowerTech, when you have so many different options, is very, very uncommon now. She goes, because she's in the corporate world, right? Kind of, I guess we'll call it that. Yeah, she is. She's hiring and firing. Yeah, she manages and stuff. She goes, the trend or the mindset of kids is they come in, they want the top job, don't have it, they want out and get something else, and they have no persistence, no consistency. They don't have no long-term game. They just want to be the CEO without the price to be paid. And it's kind of like what we're talking about is you don't just jump ship. Like, so all these competing principles is, it obviously doesn't apply just to hockey
Mm-hmm.
or just to a sport. It applies to life. It's a game of life.
Yeah.
I mean, you get out, you're competing for air.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You're fighting to get some air. It's built in. And, no matter what you're doing, that's why I assume women wear makeup a little bit. It's because they're competing a little bit to get some attention. And that's why
Guys work out.
why we work out
Yeah.
a little bit. It helps in that competitive field. And that's why I wear high heels in my shoes.
Yeah.
So I'm tall.
Well, here's kind of branching off that a little bit. So for me, I easily could have went and just got my whatever engineering job at whatever place. Like that wouldn't have been difficult to do. And then I start, and then I can climb my way and whatever. But coming here and trying to carve out like what we're trying to do with the business, like it's forcing me to have to figure it out. Like it's forcing me to have to like dig and find what works and what doesn't work, because this is a space that you guys have not explored with PowerTech yet in terms of like doing this like online type stuff and whatever. Right. So I'm forced to be in the trench now. What works? What doesn't work? Am I doing this the right way? Am I doing this the right way? And that is the competition with myself now. I've made that for myself where it's like I need to figure out how to carve through this.
Yes.
Where I've mentioned Simon Sinek before, and he literally said a very similar thing to what Christine was saying, is kids from like my generation, younger, a little bit old, whatever, they'll go to a job and they'll say they feel like they're not having an impact, or they feel like they're not doing anything that's really substantial to whatever the business is they're working with.
Right.
And they've been there for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Like that's
you don't know
that's
anything.
not a lot of time.
No.
Like 6 months is no time. You've spent no time developing anything.
You're not good at it.
And that's jumping ship, man. That's jumping because then those 6 months go by and like, I think I'm gonna go do something else now.
Because it'll be better.
Yeah, it'll be better or whatever. They want the quick. It's like they need that quick, and that's what these young hockey players and their parents do. Like, we're not winning today, right now. My kid's not winning today, right now. Let's go to the better place. Let's go to the better place.
I find I see it with a lot of the stars in the NHL now. I see it. Again, it's not carving. It's just an observation. Like, Jack Eichel is always in the not happy in Buffalo. I'm not happy. Things have to change. He's only been there, I think, 4 years, maybe 5. Connor McDavid, they're the same age, right?
Yeah,
so
I forget when the
let's
draft
say
was.
5, 6. Well, you're drafted second overall. You're making $10 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Figure it out.
Yeah. You're the guy.
Figure it out.
You're the guy to do it.
Yeah, that's why they drafted you. It wasn't supposed to be easy to make $10 million on your team. And I'm not saying everything's lined up perfectly, or it is lined up in a situation where it's easy for him, or Connor McDavid for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't complain. You've only been there a short period of time.
Yep.
It's the easy thing again, right? Like, so then that's I think maybe take that back. And if you took, only assuming, I don't know the guy, but if you took Eichel's career, and if we backtrack to 12 years old, where did he play? Did he play on a super team? Did he ever know what losing was like? And that was my point, right? Is that when it comes down, when the rubber meets the road, can you even freaking handle it?
Yeah.
Or is it everybody else's fault? It's the owner's fault. It's Buffalo's fault. It's a bad city. It's this, it's that, the other thing. I need to play with Connor McDavid. Well, yeah, everyone does.
Yep.
That would be easy.
Well, and that's exactly what ends up happening. You get into this, you're in this pattern through all of your, and it's not just hockey, man. It's everything. It's these kids that are going to school and they're trying to get into like the best school ever, and they don't, or they go to this, they're in this major and they don't like it, so they jump ship to this major, or they switch to this job, or people changing career 10 times because they feel like they should be further along than they are, or they're not getting what they deserve, or it's everything. It's not just hockey. It happens everywhere. Yeah. And just so you know, Eichel played U.S. National Development Team, Boston Junior Bruins, but
so good organization.
Yeah, awesome.
Good top organization.
On the best team, Boston University, awesome team.
Yeah. So
and then,
never been in a situation where you had to lose games.
Yeah,
and this is my whole freaking point.
Yeah.
So yes, he's got the talent to get there, and no matter what happens, he's going to be a great player. But the attitude and the if he didn't have that talent, he wouldn't be. That's a dumb statement, really. If he wasn't like a superstar, he would just, maybe he wouldn't vote. I don't know. But the bottom line is that it's yours to fix. They drafted you second overall. They took McDavid first overall. They didn't do it so that because they already had a good team and they wanted to make it better. They needed you to be the building block. You accepted that role. You took the money and go do it. It's all up to you to go to the owner and say, this is how I actually really feel. I think this would help our team. I'm going to give you everything I got. I know for a fact that's how I would be.
Mm-hmm.
I know that for a fact.
So that's how 100%. You should. That's how you should. And if
it's on me, man.
But this is the thing that kids need to take away too is like if you're not like that yet, become like that. And that's basically what we're saying. Like develop it in yourself so that you can figure out how to be that type of person where you're able to say, okay, it doesn't matter what the situation is. I'm giving you everything I got. I'm gonna have a good attitude. I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna have that. And then if there comes a point where you need to part ways and go down another path, then you can make that decision when it comes, but not without laying it all out there and showing that you're willing to do everything you could do, you know?
Yeah, 100%.